There is a particular kind of guilt that appears when you check the time late at night. You promised yourself, tonight, I'm going to bed early. But then you look at the clock and somehow it is already 2:37 a.m. Your alarm is still set for the same painfully early hour tomorrow. You know exactly how exhausted you will feel when it rings. And yet, you do not put your phone down. You do not close the laptop. You do not turn off the light. Instead, you whisper the same familiar promise, just 5 more minutes. People may joke that you are addicted to your phone. They tell you to be more disciplined or simply go to bed earlier. But if the solution were really that simple, you probably would have fixed it already. You would not be watching another video, opening another tab, or scrolling through content you barely even care about at an hour when everyone else seems to be asleep. Psychologists often describe people who naturally feel more alert later in the day as evening types or night owls. Research suggests that their internal body clocks are shifted later than those of morning types. They tend to become sleepy later, prefer waking later, and often reach their best levels of concentration and energy during the afternoon or evening. In other words, when the rest of the world begins winding down, your brain may feel as though it is finally switching on. This does not mean every late night is biological, but it does mean that struggling with an early schedule is not always evidence of laziness, poor character, or a lack of ambition. Sometimes your natural rhythm simply does not match the schedule society has built around school, work, and morning productivity. For many people who regularly stay awake late, however, the night represents more than a preferred sleeping schedule. It does not feel like extra time added to the end of the day. It feels like the only time that truly belongs to them. During the day, your attention is constantly being claimed by something. Messages need answers. Classes require focus. Work brings deadlines. Family members need help. Notifications keep appearing. There are conversations, responsibilities, background noise, and the quiet pressure to remain available. Even when you are technically resting, part of your mind may still be waiting for the next demand. Then night arrives. The messages slow down. The house becomes quieter. Nobody expects an immediate response. For the first time all day, you are no longer being watched, evaluated, interrupted, or pulled in several directions. The silence creates a small psychological bubble in which you can finally hear your own thoughts. That is why many night owls report feeling more focused or creative after dark. With fewer distractions and fewer expectations, it can become easier to enter a state of deep concentration. You might write, draw, plan, read, play games, listen to music, or explore ideas that you had no space for earlier. Even watching random videos can feel strangely meaningful, because at that moment, you are choosing what receives your attention. This is also why "one more" becomes such a powerful phrase at night. One more episode. One more round. One more video. One more scroll. You may think you are simply refusing to sleep, but something deeper may be happening. You are trying to extend the only part of the day that feels completely yours. Going to bed does not just mean ending the evening. Psychologically, it can feel like surrendering your freedom and immediately returning to tomorrow's obligations. There is a name for this pattern: revenge bedtime procrastination. It describes deliberately delaying sleep to reclaim personal time after a day that felt controlled by work, school, responsibilities, or other people's needs. You know the decision will make tomorrow harder. Yet going directly from obligation to sleep without experiencing any real freedom in between somehow feels worse. So you borrow time from tomorrow morning to create freedom tonight. The word revenge does not mean you are consciously trying to harm yourself. It refers to the feeling of taking back control. During the day, your schedule may belong to everyone else. At night, you decide what happens and when it ends. Unfortunately, the person who eventually pays for that stolen time is still you. There is another side to this pattern. Studies of evening chronotypes have found associations with anxiety, lower mood, and social jet lag. Social jet lag happens when your biological clock wants one schedule, but your responsibilities force you to follow another. Your body may want to fall asleep late and wake up late, while your alarm demands that you function early. The result can feel like living in the wrong time zone every weekday. You wake up foggy and promise yourself that tonight will be different. You push through the morning, rely on momentum during the day, and finally begin feeling alert when evening arrives. Then, the cycle repeats. By the time your mind becomes active, bedtime is already approaching, and sleeping feels like wasting your best hours. Late at night, emotions can also become louder. Problems that seemed manageable during the day suddenly feel enormous. An awkward conversation replays in your head. A small mistake begins to look like evidence that everything is going wrong. Tomorrow's responsibilities feel heavier because there is nothing around you to interrupt the overthinking. Many people describe the same experience. The daytime belongs to everyone else, while the nighttime belongs to them. Their minds only begin processing suppressed thoughts and emotions after the outside world becomes quiet. But because they are already tired, those thoughts can become more intense and less balanced than they would appear after proper rest. This creates a difficult loop. The more you use the night as an escape, the more exhausted and disconnected you feel the following day. Because the next day feels draining, you crave another private refuge when night returns. The habit that originally gave you relief gradually becomes one of the reasons you need relief. Here is the important part. Staying up late does not automatically mean you are lazy, irresponsible, or broken. Part of the pattern may be biological. Your natural chronotype may genuinely make you more alert later. Another part may be psychological. You may be searching for control, silence, creativity, privacy, or enough emotional space to process your life. The behavior may have developed because it served a real purpose. It gave you something your daytime routine was missing. But a coping habit can be understandable and still become harmful when it repeatedly takes away the sleep your mind and body need. The answer is not necessarily forcing yourself to become a cheerful 5 a.m. productivity machine. It is not about treating sleep as another competition or shaming yourself every morning. It is about becoming curious about why your brain resists bedtime so strongly. Maybe the real problem begins long before midnight. Perhaps you need clearer boundaries during the day so other people cannot access your attention constantly. Maybe you need short periods of intentional rest before the evening. That could mean taking a quiet walk, spending half an hour on something creative, or putting your phone away while doing something you chose for yourself. Small moments of freedom can reduce the feeling that nighttime is your only escape. It may also help to separate genuine nighttime energy from endless stimulation. Ask yourself whether you are awake because you feel focused and alive, or because every new video prevents you from noticing how tired you actually are. Those two experiences can look similar from the outside, but they require different responses. You do not need to hate your late-wired brain. You need to understand it well enough to work with it more gently. If possible, protect your most focused evening hours while still creating a clear ending to the day. Give yourself something peaceful to look forward to before bedtime, so sleep stops feeling like the moment your freedom disappears. If you regularly stay awake long after everyone else, you are not alone, and you are not strange for feeling more alive when the world becomes quiet. Your mind may have discovered its own way to create freedom inside a life that often feels too busy, noisy, or controlled. But perhaps the goal is not to keep stealing that freedom from your sleep. The goal is to build more of it into the life you experience while the sun is still up. So tell me in the comments, what keeps you awake at night? Is it work, games, creativity, overthinking, endless scrolling, or simply the desire to delay tomorrow a little longer? If this video helped you understand your late-night habits differently, hit like, subscribe, and share it with that friend who always says, "I'm going to sleep early tonight," but is somehow still online at 3 in the morning.